Okay, so on week 10, we've got connections, DMs, voice messages, video, and text. We've got templates, cold connections, and comment connections. So we're going to go through some templates. I may have shared some of this with you in the past, but I'll make sure that you get this after today as well. And then liking connections, the process of going through your first, second, and third connections when people are engaging with your posts. And then we'll have a look at some of the numbers you need to be aware of so that you don't get LinkedIn freezing your account, or at least stopping you from sending out messages. And you'll find, Nick, now that you're on, if you're not on Sales Nav, you've got a restricted number of searches that you can do as well. But if you use the Boolean search and you save those search strings, then the reality there is you can save those searches and then they don't affect, so save them as bookmarks, so they don't affect your results moving forward, because it's inevitably you're probably going to have 10 to 15 types of searches that you may have, and that's basically about it. And then once you've got those nailed down, then each month you can just use those, and it doesn't really impact you with regards to how many people are connecting with you or how many searches you do. Okay, so let's go into, I'm going to go through a few examples that I use, and the key thing here is you'll get a copy of this, but you want to put it into your own language because that's really important. So, when I receive an invitation to connect, I always ask for context, because most people go, thanks for connecting. So what? That adds no, there's no conversation starter there. There's no, understanding of why, when, who. And the reality is, in business, a lot of businesses survive off referrals, because it's word of mouth that ends up going through. One of your clients uses it, a competitor sees that, they want to find out more. So it's often that people will go and search for you, but it might not be at a time that's good for you, as an example. So as an example, I'm on LinkedIn. If I can't sleep, I go on LinkedIn like 2 o'clock in the morning, but I don't necessarily always send a connection request at that time. I might follow them, but if I'm going to send a connection request, if they've got their notifications on, I don't want them pinging with notifications at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then they think that it's okay for them in the future to communicate with me at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then I've kind of lost my sleep there. But the reality there is, when a connection request is sent, we don't always know the background. Most people just go, oh, well, they found me on LinkedIn. But they don't ask the real question is, why did they find me on LinkedIn? Who did they find me through on LinkedIn? Or was it just LinkedIn giving them a suggestion? Now, if it's LinkedIn giving them a suggestion, they must have been searching for something where you were the better fit as a result for that search. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I always ask the question of, thanks for connecting. And then, Nick, what was the reason that you reached out? Now, the responses I get are astounding. I've had somebody come back to me going, oh, well, you did a university course with somebody that, I'm now a different university with in India. And I'm like, well, hold on, I did that course for somebody in Nigeria. Like, how's the connection work? And they've gone, oh, well, they said I should connect with you and follow. So I have. So now I've got context. I've had, various different organizations, like the London Fashion School only found me as a result of my about section and my experience section, showing that I've worked with other universities and colleges. So, but they just sent me a blank request, just, hey, I'd like to connect. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's just another connection request. But actually, when I asked the question, they came back and said, hold on, let me just put Joel on mute there while he's feeding puppy or whatever. Anyway, so with that one, they came back to me and told me that they were having a university program that was going to be running out in 3 to 6 months' time, and they were thinking of me as a fit for that program. Now, had I not asked that question, it would have just been thanks for connecting. I would have ignored it, carried on with life. But that's why it's so important, asking for context. I've had people come back to me and go, oh, well, I saw you comment on so-and-so's post, or I did an experiment a couple of years ago. I don't know, I think Ray may remember it, where somebody challenged me to see if I can get Richard Branson to respond to a comment. And so for 6 weeks, all I did is I went on to Richard Branson's posts and I commented on various posts. You know, I always, as Ray was saying earlier about that positivity and adding something, you know, more human as opposed to kind of very neutral business-like. I was, you know, commenting and asking questions on most of his posts, and really nothing happened. And then when he had that trip into space, he posted a picture, and my thoughts were that he's probably got somebody else running his social media for him, so he's never going to respond. But on that post, I went in and I just said, hey, Richard, you know, wishing you guys all luck, but is this an old photo, or have I missed something? Because you look 10 years younger in this photo than you did in the previous one you posted a few weeks ago. And he then came back and he responded to my comment and he went, hey, Mac, really appreciated. You know, thanks for the kind words and something else. And I thought, oh, okay, that's probably just somebody from his social media team that have gone and just responded, but I have got a response. And then we found that out of 4,000 comments on his post, no one else had a response. I was the only person in 4,000 comments that actually got any form of response, not even a like, as in to say, hey, thank you for commenting. You know, that just shows you what is possible by asking the question. And as a result from that post, I had people connecting with me going, hey, how come Richard responded to you? And all I did was ask, why did you want to reach out? And they want to reach out because, you know, Richard commented on my my comment. I was like, so basic, you know, but you just never know context. And you can, you know, if you are, as an example, there are a lot of, I guarantee each one of you can think of 5 or 10 experts within your field or a field that you're interested in that, you know, if you had a chance to sit and chat to them for 5 minutes would be, you know, you'd be the bee's knees within your industry because they are, you know, sought after within the industry. Now, if you could go and connect with them and follow them and engage with them to a stage where they are, you know, acknowledging your comments on their posts, you would be in a position where other people within your industry who are also following that type of person would be interested in wanting to connect with you because you're interested in the same thing. It's like the drone conversation earlier. So as an example, if I go and post about my love for drones and how, you know, I bought my first drone and it didn't have return to sender as an option, I literally just watched myself fly away into the middle of a, what do you call those, where everybody has their own little gardens, vegetable gardens.
Allotments.
So it flew into the middle of this allotment, and it was just before the sun set. And I searched based on the video which allotment it landed in, never found the blooming thing. And I spent, you know, hundreds of pounds on this blooming mini drone that was so blooming clever at the time. But the only thing it didn't have was return to sender when it got out of range. So I literally flew it just out of range, and that was the end of it. But, you know, how many people would be able to go and comment and talk about their experiences, and then all of a sudden you can have relationships with people that are, you know, in crazy positions around the world that just have a common interest in something that you do, which means you're able to get introductions into places that you never thought of before just because of some common interest. So use that, show your human elements. You know, Nick, if you went and spoke about half those acronyms on LinkedIn and said, hey, you know, these are some of the things that I've done, you know, I'd love to know what kind of hobbies you have outside of, you know, the positions that you have, because everybody has some form of interest outside. You know, it may just be that, you know, that they're an expert on all the latest box sets on Netflix, or they may be, you know, a super duper drone pilot who has every single accreditation under the sun. So, think about thinking outside the box. The other thing that I use is thanks for connecting. What made you reach out? Was it one of my recent posts? Or if you think it was an automated response. So sometimes, LinkedIn is clamping down now on having little symbols next to your name. And every now and then especially the influencers, they're now shutting them down and going, hey, you need to prove your identity. So unless you have a special character next to your name on your passport, they then coming back and pushing back on that. But other ones that I like to use, and I'll send all of these to you, so you don't have to worry about writing these down. I'll send them. In fact, at the end of the session, I'll create a PDF and send it to all of you. So one of the things that I also do is, thank you for sending me a connection request. What was the reason you were looking to connect? And then I'll tell them. I get a load of these every day, and many bots or automated systems of people are trying to work out. So I'm purely, it's what through. Anyway, I'm speaking too fast. Network purely through numbers and no real meaning for connection. So having this in mind, I'd love to connect. However, I'm also checking that I'm connecting with somebody who's truly growing their network. So it's just putting a bit of perspective out there, putting your own rules and guidelines, because you may, as Ray said, you want to become a bit more specific this year as to who you're connecting with. You can have and the beauty of this is you can just write this into a Word document and then copy and paste whenever you use it. So you don't have to go and think about this all the time. But you may have, say for argument's sake this year, Ray, you just want to connect with heads of the creative teams. And that's what you want to focus on. You may want to put that and say, hey, well, this year I'm focusing on connecting with heads of creative teams. If you're not in that, I'd love to know why you'd like to connect. So that we can continue this conversation. And I can guarantee you're going to filter out a lot of those people that are only trying to sell to you. Because that's what most people are using LinkedIn for, is that outreach to build their network. But actually, it's at some point, I want to sell to you. And we all know what the end game is. So the reality here, just putting it out there. I get people every single day trying to sell me life insurance. And then guess what I do? I introduce them to Brian Chipchase. I go, hey, thank you so much. Please speak to Brian and see if there's anything he hasn't covered. And they're like, they don't come back to me. They just it's, then they know I've got a guy, but at the same time, I leave it open to say, I'm happy to connecting with people if you see that there's any other benefits to connecting at this stage, because you never know. I've had people that have come to me. I'm not really going to do business with them, but I can't do, but they can't do business with me because, as an example, they're in BNI group, and they only allow to speak to their own LinkedIn guy, but they belong to another network where they can invite me along to come and network. So actually, there is mutual benefit, but it's not within their immediate circle. So have a look at things like collaboration and working outside of those parameters as well. So the next thing is, hey, thank you for reaching out. What brought you to my profile? Now, and then I'll just wish them a happy day or happy weekend or whatever. It depends on when I'm doing this. But you can do this with your followers as well. So quick question, how many of you have checked who's following you in the last month and reached out to them? Yeah. And what are the responses that you're getting?
I've got a meeting with one of them next Monday.
That's cool. I got someone who said they want to connect with me because I have been following you and I want to connect with you.
Okay. So the thing is, the more you do this, the more you're going to open up opportunities. The scary thing is, it's a lot of this is so basic and so logical. People follow you. Why? Because they're interested. And then guess what? We've got all these followers, and a lot of people don't bother even going to check the followers out. It's like, well, why did you follow me? Oh, because you did a post about something that I think was really useful, or I saw you commented on somebody's post and that was really valuable. There's a reason why people follow. But unfortunately, how many of you have intended to do something today, but unfortunately, due to life happening, you just didn't get around to it? Anybody ever had that happen?
Most days.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
Okay. How many of you complete your to-do lists every single day. Really, Joel?
Every single day. Some of it rolls over.
Joel just shook his head a few seconds ago, going, yeah, I that's happened where I've not been able to complete the thing. And he's going to do my list every day.
I have a flexi list.
And therefore it's always completed. Love it, Joel. So yeah, and that's everybody's lives are like that. So if we can just look at basic context of what happens in our life and stop, how many times have you thought, oh, I've lost that opportunity now, I've waited too long? Any ever had that? Like you haven't followed up with somebody that messaged you like 3 months ago and you go, oh, well, I've lost that one. Guess what? Life happens. And I bet you life happens to them as well. I recently, I had a friend of mine that he messaged me like 9 months ago and it got lost in my DMs. And I was wondering how he was doing. And I sent him a message and he dropped off LinkedIn 9 months ago because unfortunately he became really ill and he was battling cancer. And now he's coming back and he's just been given the all clear. But, we've just caught up and he's just been through this hell of a battle. But at the end of the day, I've still had that opportunity to go and have that conversation because guess what? He wasn't where the conversation we were having 9 months ago wasn't on his mind for the last 9 months because he had other shit going on. So just remember, people also have stuff going on. And if not for now, it could be for the future. So don't be worried about an opportunity that slipped through because guess what? You can always go back to somebody and go, hey, so sorry, lots of things have been going on the go, but thought I have to reach out to you. Because if you make that effort to reach out, at least that way it shows that, there is some interest to either build a relationship or connection. And you just never know. Sometimes the timing is much better later on. And, if you don't do these things, you won't know. So on the follow, always make sure that you go and spend once or twice a month. Go through the people that follow you, have a look at their profiles. And here's a trick. If you've run out of your connection requests, go and comment on one of your followers' posts and say, hey, I noticed that that you hit follow, or just go and say, hey, great post. You may not want to put there, especially if it's a potential client that a competitor could see that they went onto your profile. You don't want to necessarily go, hey, I see you follow me. But you may want to go onto their post and go, hey, you've great value. I wonder about this. Would love to connect if you're open to it. And more often than not, they'll take the action and send you the connection request so that you've got more connection requests for the month, if that makes sense. You don't have to always be the one sending the connection request and you can just put it out there. Does that make sense?
Going back to following and followers, if people are following you but you're not following them, should you automatically follow them?
No. Because you'll get a lot of random stuff as well. But the key thing is finding out what, because guess what? You can always remove a connection. There's nothing saying that once you've connected, you have to stay connections. And they don't get a notification going, Raymond has unfriended me. It's just you're no longer a first connection. But what you the opportunity is there to just reach out and ask the question of send them a connection request going, say thank you so much for following. I'd love to know why. What brought you to my profile? Because that's where the conversation starter is. Because in their answer, it may be, we are working on such and such a project and your name came up in conversation. Or I saw you comment, because it may be something that is just like, oh, well, I saw you hit the like button on so-and-so's post. Oh, okay, well, there's not much relevance here. Thanks, move on. But what happens if that's the person who at 3 o'clock in the morning was working overtime, trying to find the right person, landed on your profile, and the next morning they were putting out fires and totally got sidetracked. And, a week down the line, they've totally forgotten how to spell your name, or they can't find you through the search that they did before, or, and then you come up and you go, hey, you followed my profile and said why? And they go, oh, thank God. You know how many times that's happened to me? Well, I found somebody on LinkedIn and I'm sitting there and I've decided to work on my laptop without the power in, just on the battery, and then damn thing dies. And then I'm like, hold on, let me go back on. And it hasn't kept my search history. So little things like that. Second message, thank you for connecting. I've recently started. So as an example, this is my YouTube channel. So if I'm connecting with people that I want to potentially interview, I can go, thanks for connecting. I've recently started interviewing a few experts that share some absolute gold dust for employees and business owners alike. Let me know what you think. So I'm basically giving them access to my library of interviews, so that it's something that they could potentially take away as a benefit without me asking them for anything. So, for example, Nick, if you are connecting with industry leaders within the scanning technology, and you guys have recently done a white paper on say the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
You may want to use that white paper as a thank you for connecting. It's like, hey, thanks so much for connecting. We've just recently done this white paper for other people in the pharmaceutical world. And I hope this comes in as useful. Let me know if you have any questions. And that's your kind of handshake that goes out to them. And then in your document that you send as a thank you, if it's a PDF, you can have a link that just goes and says, register for more information or a next step, so that that, hey, well, that lead magnet as such has now created a follow-on step. So, it's basic things, but always give first, because most people go and pitch, they connect and then they pitch. They're always asking. So try and give something, or if you've spent 5 minutes on their profile or even 30 seconds on their profile, go and comment on something positive about their profile. So as an example, Nick, if you found a big client, or Joel, if you found somebody who is within the neurodiverse space that is somebody you really want to connect with, you go on their profile and you see, hey, they connected to that person, or they have recently had that person comment on one of their posts, anything that stands out that's significant, use that as your second message and go, hey, Joel, incredible. I didn't realize you got mentioned in the Forbes magazine, on Forbes recently. That's pretty cool. What are your aims for 2023 as an example? So, little things like that show somebody you've taken time to check them out. And one of the secrets for building relationships is, what is everybody's favorite subject? Don't say it, just type it into the chat. Ray's been there before.
I didn't catch the question, sorry.
What is everybody's favorite subject to talk about?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing.
Yeah, if you walk into a random pub and somebody just starts talking to you about their cat and their dog and everything else that's going on, you're going to sit there and go, oh, hold on, I'm going to be bored after a while, because you're talking about everything that you're interested in, and that's not my thing. But if you ask people questions, I've got people in my life that I know almost everything about them, but if you ask them anything about me, like ask them if I have kids, or do I have pets, or where do I live, they don't have a clue. I always speak to them about them. And, I've got clients, same thing. I know so much about them, but when it comes to them knowing anything about me, they go, oh, that Matt guy is an amazing guy. What do you know about him? Well, nah, actually can't answer any questions. But this is the thing, is it's a human thing. People's favorite subjects are themselves. So if you can get to build rapport on that second point of talking about something about them, then straight away you're already showing that person that you care, because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the simplest. These are very, very basic constructs that you've probably heard in other parts of life, or other courses or other work, but it really is that simple. So take 30 seconds out before you respond to somebody and just check out their profile to see what is significant in there. Nick, with your all your what do you call it, drone certifications, I would put those on my profile, because somebody would go, they'll just under experience or hobbies, just go and put it under there, nothing more. Because guess what, you're going to have somebody go on there and go, shit, Nick, we've been in the same industry for so long, I didn't know you were into drones. You may have one of your top clients that is a big drone fanatic, you don't even know about it. So it's just a conversation starter. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So, and who wouldn't like to speak to more clients that like the same thing as you do? Wouldn't your day be interesting if you are surrounding yourself with clients that firstly you can service, but at the same time, they're also interested in similar things to you? It makes your life so much easier. Who knows? Maybe you'll have a drone client that you can do scanning for in production, Nick, and they have to send you a sample every other month. You just think outside the box. You just never know with these things. Another one that I use, thanks for connecting with me. Hi, no sales pitch, just adding some value. Are you using LinkedIn properly? I wish I was a year ago. Here's an interview that I did, and this is one that I did with Chris J. Reed, who I don't know if you've look him up on LinkedIn and go and comment on one of his posts and say, Max said I must check out your content. He's a lunatic from Newcastle who now lives in Singapore, and tattooed to the hilt and 50-something years old with the most insane mohawk. He's proper. He's a lot of fun. But he's been quoted by Forbes as being the world's #1 LinkedIn expert. And strangely enough, he won't work with big corporates. He'll go and talk at big corporates, but he knows there's way too much red tape, and he's just like, no, I'll work with small to medium enterprises around the world. So, as an example, I'm not even giving them something for me. I'm going, hey, here's an interview I did with somebody who's an expert in the industry. So Ryan, as an example, if you're looking at drones, you may find like a really cool video on the latest drone that's coming out in the market in 2023. And if somebody connects with you and they say, oh, well, I saw your post on drones, then you can go back and go, oh, yeah, did you see this video on the latest drone that's coming out? All of a sudden, you've got a conversation starter. It doesn't have to be complicated, and you can just have fun with these processes. Thanks for connecting. What was the main reason? I thought I would record a short little intro. So one of the things that I've done as well is I've got a link on YouTube, 30-60 seconds, and I'll see if I can find it for you now, where, let's go. There it is. Give me a few seconds, I'll show you this. So it's just basically a one-off recording that I do on a YouTube video, but I've done it as a hidden video so that it's not listed. People can't find it generally.
I watched it, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure you have, because you've uploaded all the other on there as well. Give me a
I was that
second.
bored one night. I just watched the entire content of your YouTube channel.
Say that again.
I was bored one night, so I watched the entire content of your YouTube channel.
That's hell of a board. And I'm sure I've got more. Yes. Oh, sorry. I thought.
Do you still have that? Do you still have that taxi prank up on your page? I remember seeing that like yonks ago.
Yeah, it's still, you can still find it. So Nick, I don't know if you've those like you've been framed type videos.
Yeah.
So I was working with the founder of the Urban Music Awards back in 2009.
Right.
And I ran the British Music Week event, and I ran International Football Week, and helped him with Urban Music Awards. We were trying to get this client on board, and he basically came to me and phoned me up the one day, and he was like, hey, Mac, tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, I'm sending a cab to fetch you. We finally got this client on the hook. we've got to fly to Edinburgh first thing in the morning for this meeting. It's our only opportunity to get these guys on board. And I was like, sure, no problems. I'll be ready. Got dressed, got done. But it was a bloody BBC prank about what happens if your cab doesn't make it in time for your flight. And I think the show was called You've Been Screwed. BBC thing. Anyway, they took me around the freaking houses. I almost had a heart attack. And then they randomly dropped me off somewhere in Ealing, strangely enough, and just went here, catch a train back from here. And I was like, this is nowhere close to where the fricko hell I was. I think they really went for, massive impact. And I had this bloody comedian as the taxi driver. I tell you what, I literally thought I was going to die because of stress that day. Anyway, so what are we looking for? Here we go. Yeah, unfortunately, if you search me on YouTube, you are going to find a lot of variety. Come on. No, I've gone down a bloody rabbit hole now. Here we go. Next. Joel, there are over 130 videos. You must have been really bored.
Gone, isn't it?
Okay, I'm going to have to find it and then send it to everybody because I don't want to waste your time sitting here searching. Here we go. Found it. Give me a second. Let me go share screen. There we go. Okay, so obviously this was a while back because I had even less hair. This was before the beard. So that would be the link that I went and sent through. Oh,
Very good.
there we go. So as you can see, it's literally a minute long. It actually needs to be about 59 seconds.
Thank you for connecting with me here on LinkedIn. I wanted to wish you a happy 2021, and may this year be a year where your positive success outweighs your positive test results. Please let me know how I or my network can be of help.
Wow, what's going on here?
To you and whatever you are working on right now. As my motto goes, you never know where a conversation may lead. So if you're truly wanting to create some meaningful relationships and connections on LinkedIn this year, please let's see where those conversations may lead and stay connected. This year, I am looking at connecting with individuals who want to raise their game here on LinkedIn, as well as leaders in the security sector who want to look at ways to stay one step ahead of those pesky criminals, saving lives and helping the emergency response teams work more effectively using the latest technologies from all around the world. So if either of these resonate with you, I look forward to seeing what magic we can create in 2021. And thank you for connecting. Let's make this a great year.
So a very simple video. And as you can see from that, at that stage, I was still hating video and being very tongue-tied and ums and ahs and all the rest of it and all over the place. So anybody could do this. But the key thing is, if you can get it to 59 seconds, you can send it out and save it on your phone as a video. You can send it as an attachment. Or alternatively, you can just send it and just copy, record it onto YouTube and then, what do you call it? Have it as a link, because then you can see how many people have actually watched it as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I was quite surprised how many people actually watched it, because on the mobile device you can watch it within the app, whereas on the desktop it seems to take you away from the app and opens YouTube in a separate page. Sometimes it allows you to open it up in the DM. It all depends on what LinkedIn are doing with their external links at that given time of the year, because they've changed it quite often. So where is mouse? Go back here. So I'll send some of these scripts over to you, but let me just share final screen and then we'll wrap up. So I'm conscious of time here. Okay, so this one is connecting because of somebody else's post. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So, hi, Jeff, I've just seen a recent post on, and then I'll put the info in there and tip you, and wanted to see if you're open to connecting. I'd love to have a conversation. What is the best way to contact you? So something as simple as that. Hold on.
Are you going to share all these slides with us?
Yeah, I'm going to send them over to you straight after this.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And then, reaching out because somebody commented on a recent post, I would put as an example, thank you for engaging with my recent post. Was there anything specific that grabbed your attention? Now, I find, this is a very short and basic one, but it very often, because everybody's different on LinkedIn. Some people are prepared to just hit the like button, but they don't quite want to put their opinion out there, but they're happy to put their opinion out there on a DM where nobody else can see it. So when you ask that question, what specifically grabbed your attention, I've had some fascinating conversation starters off the back of it going, well, I didn't really want to put anything because I know one of my competitors commented, but these are my thoughts. And then all of a sudden you have real conversations. So little things like just asking why somebody liked or engaged your post, like what were they thinking of when they did? Because you may put a post there about the top 5 mistakes people make, and somebody likes that. And then you ask the questions like, what specifically? And they might turn around, well, actually, number 3 was one of the mistakes we made. And there's and then you can, and it might be around branding or marketing as an example, right? And then it's a mistake we made and we kind of figured our way out from there, but we never really sought professional help to kind of figure that out. So every now and then we kind of go through that vicious cycle again. And straight away you're sitting there going, oh, okay, well, you've asked a question. They've told you about a specific problem, giving you an example. And then you can talk around and say, hey, well, if I can help you make sure you don't repeat that process again, how would that be of benefit? It's just like a simple conversation as opposed to, and you've got real live examples as opposed to trying to make somebody use your services when you don't know the pain they've been through. Does that make sense? Yeah.
That was a good idea the last time you talked to us about writing about mistakes people make. I got about 9.5 impressions on that post I did.
9.5?
9,500.
What did you say? 9.5? How do you get half an impression? Something kind of
about 9,500, which is a big post. That's a big impression load for me. I don't generally get that many people are.
Well, the thing is, what you've got to look back on, and this is where I learned the hard way when it came to content as an example, because all of us have ideas that you think of your industry, and you think, hey, well, people should know X, Y, Z. And then you go out there and you post about it, and it's like tumbleweed. Nothing comes through. Like nobody gives a damn. And you're like, what? Like, why don't people want to know? So if you go ask your audience, like, what are your pain points? You tell them about various things, and then you talk about that, and you look back over your last month or 2 months posts, have a look at the ones that got a bit of love and attention, and then do more like it, because that's what your audience are asking for. But one of the other things you can do is if you posted something and it got no attention, go and repurpose that post. Go and turn it into a carousel post or a video post, or use the same content and just see, maybe people need to see it in a different format.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy that process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, thank you for engaging on my recent post. Was there any okay, it was pretty much similar to the last one. So I will send these out to you. But one of the things I want to show you is I know I talk about this often. So Nick, as an example, if I go onto, where is it? Here we go.
You need to refresh that because the experience has changed since we've been on. So instead of being self-employed, basically doing nothing, I was a drone pilot for 3 months.
Excellent.
There you go.
Oh, legend. Look at that. Hey? Yeah, if I were you, I'd even leave. Oh, was that for a specific company?
No, I didn't. No, I was self-employed. I did it myself, just on my own. But I did the qualification with SkyTrain, who I've made a note of there. But I don't think they exist anymore either.
Well, put it this way: I'm assuming you still take your drone out every now and then.
Oh, I still do the occasional part-time job. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would put there is till present, still doing this as a professional hobby, because it's not something that you did for 3 months and then left.
No.
Your toe.
I've maintained my qualification.
So so you may want to go and put in there anybody who is a drone fanatic, happy to have a conversation and connect, as an example.
I did a poll while you were talking as well about. Go to my post, you'll find I did a poll.
Ah, there we go. Okay, well, if all of us go on to that, hold on. I have a few hobbies of these. Do they align with any of these? Okay. Well, the problem is I'd like to say 2 of them. I have a guitar. As Joel knows, I don't play very well.
You can vote 3 times. I don't mind.
No, well, you can't. You can only choose one.
Can you not reload it and do it again?
Yes, you can, but then it takes your other vote away.
Oh.
So this is one of the things when it comes to polls, you can only choose. So what you could do is you may want to delete this one and repost it and put all of the above or other comment below, because that way you're creating engagement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
I'm going to put drones because that's my current one that I'm playing with.
Right.
But darts, yes, my dad was a South African regional champion
Wow.
For darts. I shake a little, so my darts is not quite as accurate as his. He used to be able to, with the wooden darts, with the wooden flights, the handmade ones, he used to be able to split the back of a dart. And I'm like,
it's also a bit male orientated. These are these kind of hobbies.
not necessarily. I know a lot of people that are
true.
females that do all the top, all above, all of the above.
Okay, fair enough. My dad was a fun dart player too, I must say. He was
really,
yeah. And I mean, obviously, kind of like working men's clubs, and it was either kind of like a pool or sort of billiards and darts.
Yeah, that sounds like my dad. But those were the days where they still smoked in the clubs.
Absolutely.
As a kid, I used to hide under the bar while just under the smoke levels, so that my while my dad played darts or pool or snooker or whatever it was.
I think they always had a dance room as well, which was always kind of closed. But the kids used to get and used to kind of like take their shoes off and skated across the floor because it was really slippery.
Slippery, yeah, in the socks.
Yeah,
we grew up in the same place, right? Anyway, but one of the things that I want to do is if I just go back here, Nick. So for one of the other things that I said I was going to cover is the first, second, and third connections.
Yeah.
If I go on this post,
Charlie.
Okay. So as an example, this is not your post, but you've commented on this post.
Yeah.
Say for argument's sake, you want to connect with various people that are connecting with him. Now, it might have been a different subject or something posted by an expert in your industry. If you just go and click on the like button and you work through those, and you have a look at who are first or second connections or third connections, it's easy to use this post as context as to why you're connecting. You say, hey, you like Charlie's post. And then you can say he's a great expert, or that was a great information. What did you like about his post? But you can do the same for your own posts. So if somebody is a second or third level connection, even a first level connection, unfortunately, most people forget this, and this is the low hanging fruit. The people we already are connected to, is just sending a message going, hey, thanks for liking my post. Was there anything specific that you liked about it? Guess what? I had a client, beginning of last year, I had an old CCTV engineer of mine like one of my LinkedIn posts. And I went, geez, I didn't even know that he was on LinkedIn. And then when I reached out, I was like, hey, how's it going? What's happening? It turns out that he's now actually the commercial sales manager 5 years on from when I worked with him for that organization. And he wants to be able to help his sales team use LinkedIn effectively because he thinks that's one way to think outside the box. And I sat there and I thought, had I not asked him why he liked my post, I wouldn't have known. I would have just seen the like and moved on. But because I took that time out just to ask why, it resonated with him. People don't hit the button just because they're bored all day. It's normally, I like that one. I like that one. Oh, that means something. And it could be something that's just scratching the surface of basic interest. But if you're able to elevate that, who knows? I mean, as an example, Ryan came on here, said he's interested in drones. Now, all of a sudden, he's got a connection with Nick, who's done all the different certifications and can probably have a more informed conversation than I can.
Sure.
So, well, definitely can. I mean, that's without a doubt. But this is, unless you put it out there and ask the question, how do you expect people to know? So have some fun with that. Put some, go and ask people why, when, and how. And, if you're short for time, cherry pick. If you go through this list and you go, gee whiz, that company would actually be really useful. And because you've got a common connection, it's much easier to say, as an example, hey, I saw you commented on Charlie's post. He's a friend of mine, or he's somebody I work with, or I know, like you can fill in the gaps with the association, because now you're starting a conversation with a common thread. But if I just went on some random post, saw that Ryan liked somebody's post, I went, hey, Ryan, I saw you like this post. And I thought I'd connect. It was like, I need to have context. So maybe I'd need to, if it's a total random one, I'd need to go, well, I saw that you liked a post about drones. I'm also interested in drones. Is that something that you do on as a professional, or is it just a hobby, or is it something that you would like to do one day? So as an example, I love paragliding, but I've only ever gone and flown once on my own, so as a solo flight. And I'd love to go and get my proper license so that I can go and go and do that on a more regular basis and just jump off any freaking building or cliff, because I find that exciting. But the reality is, if I go and talk about paragliding, I may have somebody who's that paraglides in the Himalayas every year, and here's me saying, I'd like to go and get my my qualification. You just never know where that conversation is going to go, because that may be an opportunity for somebody that you connect with that goes, actually, we're having a local event. Why don't you come pop in, come and get to know things? A local drone flying club, a local darts club, a local, guitar band get together, jam session. There's so many things that if you put it out there, you could connect with some of your key clients on a much more informal way that ultimately can become really great relationships and collaborations. Yeah. So the next week, I want you to think about having some fun. What can you put out there that you could potentially use? But I want you to go from thinking about the idea, doing a post about it, and in some way moving to getting to do a Zoom meeting with somebody at the end of it. So Ryan, for you, if you go and post about your love for drones and you wanting to connect with other people on the drone thing, maybe tag Nick in it and say, I've just, through this course, I didn't even realize that somebody I was on a course with is so experienced. And then Nick can carry on that conversation. But with the aim of it, to see where that conversation goes, and then jump on an informal Zoom call where you literally just go, hey, it sounds like I'd love to have a 5 minutes or 10 minutes conversation and just pick your brains on a few things, or get to know more about what you're doing with that.
Okay.
See where the conversation leads, because once you get outside of your comfort zone, it's so much easier to do this when you're doing it for business as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Okay. Cool.
That's your challenge. One Zoom call with somebody who has a similar hobby.
Okay.
Excellent stuff. Listen, folks, I have to run. But it's been great to be back, and I'll make sure that I tally up the days and make sure you get more than your expected time back. And thank you for being patient with me over the last few weeks.